Hannah Gaze jokingly says, Trump didn't know about Epstein, or he did, but he didn't know about his proclivities. Well, maybe he did, but he didn't share them. Actually, on second thought, everything Trump did was to catch Epstein for the feds. There is no birthday card. He didn't write that card. Trump couldn't write communism. You like the weekend? Thank a union for that. Thank some communists for that, okay? Now, not only does this not look too good for Donald Trump, but one of the other idiotic counter-narratives that was launched came from House Speaker Mike Johnson. I covered it immediately as soon as it came out. House Speaker Mike Johnson, representative Republican from Louisiana, came out with a hot statement that we had not heard before. One that I had joked about for years and years at this point, that Donald Trump was a white hat pedophile. Okay? Now, it turns out that is unironically how these dipshits thought they could get away from this conversation. Mike Johnson said, well, Donald Trump was an FBI informant trying to take down Jeffrey Epstein. Here he is responding to CNN when asked, CNN's Manu Raju, when asked.
What do you mean by that?
All right. What I was referring to in that long conversation was what the victim's attorney said. More than a decade ago, President Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, and he was one of the only people, one of the only prominent people, as everyone has reported, not President Trump, but everybody about him, that he was willing to help law enforcement go after this guy who was a disgusting child abuser, sex trafficker, all the allegations. That's what they heard. So the president was helpful in that. I don't know if I use the right terminology, but that's common knowledge, and everybody knows that. So this is much ado about nothing.
Did the president tell you this specifically about his involvement?
I was recounting what others have said. The president and I have talked about the Epstein evils many times. He's as disgusted by it as everybody else. He has long had a history of acknowledging that, and he has said repeatedly he wants...
Dog, you said he was an FBI informant. The fuck do you mean? And you can't just like common knowledge your way out of this. It's clearly not common knowledge. What do you mean it's common knowledge that he was an FBI informant? Now, what's also really funny about using FBI informant as the term here, as a specific term here, is that FBI informants don't just become FBI informants out of the blue. That still unironically implies that he was diddling children. The FBI caught him and turned him into a state's witness. So even your counter narrative here, this made up thing that you made up, also still cooked Donald Trump. Okay? It still cooked Donald Trump because you came out and you were like, hey, my guy, Donald Trump, was fucking kids, and then the FBI caught him, and then he turned into a state's witness to take out Jeffrey Epstein. So he wasn't just fucking kids for himself. In the aftermath of being caught, he fucked kids for the state. Okay? Because that's what you're saying. Like, you're saying he was raping children for the state, for the betterment of mankind, to take out a guy who was raping even more kids than he was. That's an insane thing to say, dude. You see, Your Honor, my guy Donald Trump wasn't just raping kids for the love of the game. He was doing it for the state. He was doing it for a better, for mankind. He hated it. He hated diddling kids. He just did it for you and me. That's fucking insane, dude.
Everything to come out, all credible information, everything for the American public to decide.
Was he ever asked to wear a wire or anything like that?
I have no idea. No, I'm not saying that. I have no information about that whatsoever. I was repeating what has been common knowledge for a long time. The president was helpful in trying to get Epstein, for the law enforcement to go after Epstein. That's always been my understanding. That's common knowledge. It's the public's understanding. I was not breaking news there, okay? What I'm trying to emphasize is that the president is as disgusted about this, as everyone is, all people of good conscience. We heard from the victims last week. It was gut-wrenching to hear their accounts. Many of them came out here and did it to a broader audience, to the public. But there's as many as 1,000 other victims, hundreds of young women, now some of them middle-aged women, who were subjected to these abuses for a long, long time, and justice is long overdue. So we're not just investigating Epstein and what happened, but why the justice system failed these women for so long. That is why the House Oversight Committee is on this so aggressively, and as you saw, the latest developments, I think Chairman Comer and some other members are going down to Florida. They're going down to the Epstein estate to look at visitor laws at the estate. By the way, none of this is encompassed in the discharge petition gambit. This is what the Oversight Committee is tasked to do. It is what they are doing in a bipartisan fashion. You have very aggressive members on both sides of the aisle that are on it, and we are greatly comforted by that. So we fully support it.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Anyway, listen, someone had to diddle. He is a hero. Yeah. In my head canon, he walked it back because he saw your tweet. Yeah. No. So he walked it back, but you know who's galloping in that direction? Tim fucking Pool.
Armed. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this.
Now, there's a couple theories on this. One is that Mike Johnson let slip this statement to try and protect Trump's reputation. There's also that, basically like, oh, did you know he was an FBI informant? Stopping it? That's why. Or I think there's a strong possibility here. I don't know for sure. I'm not saying I trust Trump on any of this stuff. Elon says he's in the files, whatever. Let's get the files and figure it out. But let's at least entertain. Did Speaker Mike Johnson maybe accidentally just slip up that Trump was an FBI informant? And the reason why Trump doesn't want the documents released is that they're going to show that Trump was snitching on powerful people.
Bro, this shit's awesome, dude. These guys are so stupid. That's so awesome. Yeah, man. That's why. No, you got it. Yeah, Trump really would hate to look like a hero. He would hate to look like a hero in this Epstein story for sure. Okay? Yeah, definitely. He would hate to take credit for Jeffrey Epstein's downfall.
It's prominent, wealthy individuals doing untoward things, and the documents are going to show that Donald
Listen,
Trump
guys, listen.
was a snitch.
Listen, we can't in any way have anybody find out that I am snitching on a pedophile.
Where I want to see the original though. I don't want, no disrespect to Uncle Sam here, but I don't want the interjection and I don't want the commentary. I want to see the OG. Do you guys have the OG? Because you sent me the Majority Report version, but I need to see it. I need to see the fucking OG. I need to see Tim Pool without any fucking cuts. Or if there's cuts, I'm going to be the one pausing it.
But if the documents show that Trump was working with law enforcement to stop this, that's not damaging to Trump's reputation among his voters. It's damaging to Trump's reputation among powerful elites he needs to do deals with.
Oh, that's right, bro. Brother. Why didn't I think of this, man? Why didn't I fucking think of this? This is incredible. 236,000 views, by the way. People are so fucking desperate for that copium that Tim Pool is even doing better numbers than he did before for this one. Because if you look at his other videos, like his videos are not doing good, okay? His videos are doing dog shit, okay? Chicago Mexican Festival canceled over ICE raids, 20,000, 10,000. There has been a noticeable downturn for all of the OG right-wing content creators. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. It feels like there is a finite amount of right-wing watchers out there, and they've all gravitated towards Asmongold. Okay? They're all gravitating towards Asmongold. The old guard, Carter is right. I said this already. The old guard of the Republican Party online, their messaging machine is dead. Okay? The Daily Wire, dead. Tim Pool, dead. They got nothing. They got nothing going on. We haven't watched any of their shit either. We haven't watched any of their stuff because like they got nothing. You got Fem Shabibo, Brett Cooper, okay, the female Gen Z Ben Shabibo, and you got Asmongold, and you got like a consortium of different like Theo Vons, and every now and then they have like right wing takes or whatever. Theo Von isn't even like a right winger fully, but you got like you got Nick Fuentes popping off. You got Tucker Carlson. You got Candace Owens. And you got mostly people that have created this like very different right wing coalition. But it kind of feels like no one is touching the Asmongold reign on right wing content. One thing I've noticed, with the exception of like Charlie Kirk and Asmongold, is that they're also very anti-Israel. Like all of the independent right-wing content creators are fucking openly anti-Israel. Some of them are also openly anti-Semitic, but every single one of them are openly anti-Israel. Even the independent audiences on the right demand anti-Israel content. So like everyone that refuses to do that on the right have been eating dicks and ass non-stop. Okay? Interesting stuff.
So the Democrats might be thinking it's not it's going to help Trump. If we leak files showing that Trump stopped Epstein, people are going to cheer for him. Right. Trump may be saying, if they find out that I ratted on Bill Gates and Bill Clinton and I was the one actually spying on him or wore a wire or did who knows what, these people aren't going to want to do deals with his business. If Trump was snitching on
So in this universe, Bill Gates has diddled children with Jeffrey Epstein, and Donald Trump knew about it, and Donald Trump is worried that he can't continue doing business with a pedophile? Is that the argument you're presenting right now? That Donald Trump ratted on Jeffrey Epstein for pedophilia, okay? But then also that all these other pedophiles won't be able to keep doing business with Trump if they find out that Trump was the rat? What are you saying? Why the fuck would Donald Trump, if he's so expressly anti-pedophilia, why would he want to continue doing deals with Bill Gates? Also, all of these fucking elites are still working with the White House currently, including Bill Gates. So what the fuck does that mean? That Trump knows that these guys have diddled children but is still working with them? None of this makes sense. This does not make logical sense. Okay? This defies logic. Donald Trump doesn't want the elites to find out that he was the main guy that participated in Jeffrey Epstein's downfall. That's why he just keeps saying it's a Democrat hoax. That's why he keeps saying it's a Democrat hoax, that his name was inserted into the files by Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. Who the fuck watches this guy, man? Apparently nobody, except for this video. This video hit. It is the highest amount of views that Tim Pool has gotten in the last couple of months. Apparently, this is the one video where people are like, all right, I'll tune in to see what Tim Pool has to say about this situation.
Prominent world leaders. I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying I believe that's the case. But it could be an explanation. Trump was a snitch. I'm going to put it this way. I'm going to paint Trump in the worst possible light in this regard. Trump only cared about himself. He only cared about his organization. When he heard about what Epstein was doing, he said this.
I guess they believe it. They're saying it's not snitching when it involves the safety and protection of children. Exposing pedos doesn't make you a snitch. It makes you a whistleblower and a hero. Anybody who calls someone a snitch who's trying to out child predators, they deserve the chair also. Epstein is on record saying he thought Trump was involved in taking him down. I love it when decades-old information hits the mainstream like this. It's frustratingly late, but I'm still grateful to finally come around to it. Like, yeah, these guys are unironically so delusional that they are willing to believe this completely insane narrative that the guy who was besties with Jeffrey Epstein, who has actively chosen to undermine the investigation, who's actively chosen not to release this information, is actually doing so because he's worried that people are going to call him a snitch. That is fucking insane. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. The only way this makes sense in your mind is because you think Trump is infallible and you want to believe that he's on the right side on this. You cannot get yourself to believe that he was also involved with Jeffrey Epstein in a positive way.
This is exposure I don't need. And when the FBI came to him about Epstein, he says, I'll do whatever you want. I'll help you out. And they say, wear a wire, give us a list of names. What if Trump gave ledgers from his club to the FBI? What's going to happen to Mar-a-Lago when all of the people who spend their 20 grand, I think it's like 200 grand to sign up or something. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's like 20 grand a year or something. What's going to happen when a bunch of these people find out that their names and private information were handed over to the feds as part of a criminal investigation into Epstein or to illicit activities? What if Trump was informing more than just Epstein? What if Trump was feeding the FBI information on tons of cases about prominent, powerful elites? That would be extremely bad for Trump's business and his dealings with powerful elites, so much so that he'd be like, we can't release this stuff. It would destroy my family's business, my legacy. If people find out that I was basically a spy for the federal government against powerful elites, the populace, his voter base might be like, wow, Trump was actually trying to stop bad people. That's not what the powerful people are going to think, though. They're going to think, destroy this guy. I want revenge.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how true this is. I'm interested in finding out more. But I will say this is actually it's more believable that he was an FBI informant than that he was a KGB informant, like it was asserted by what's his name. So
Jonathan Chait.
Yeah, Jonathan Chait. So I think that and also it would be a good thing because it would prove that he's more patriotic than Jonathan Chait would think as well.
I guess it's cool. It's cool to see like people just actively entertain hallucinations, like actively entertain like getting psychosis in an effort not to just like rip the Band-Aid off. That's what it is. We're watching. I wouldn't even say these guys are in a cult though, honestly, because like I think Tim Pool doesn't care about anything. I think he's just a grifter. Yeah. And I guess now they've moved on about the actual details that keep coming out about Trump's involvement, and instead going, oh, the Democrats don't even care about Epstein. They don't even care about his victims. That's why they were silent about it for years. The only thing they care about is concocting another fake scandal like Russiagate to smear President Trump with their lies. No one's falling for their BS. I don't know, man. Kind of feels like the you could say that under different circumstances. Okay, you could prove that that is the case by releasing the Epstein files. Okay, do you see what I mean? Because if you were interested in releasing the Epstein files, then you could just present to the Democrats the Epstein files and say, you see, this is what they didn't want you to see when they were leading the country, when they were the administration in charge. They didn't want you to see it, but we promised transparency as the Republicans, and therefore you're going to get it. You feel me? But they're not doing that. They're the ones who are actually holding out. That is the only reason why people have this kind of anger and resentment towards the administration, even those who are in the base of support. Hannah Gase jokingly says, Trump didn't know about Epstein, or he did, but he didn't know about his proclivities. Well, maybe he did, but he didn't share them. Actually, on second thought, everything Trump did was to catch Epstein for the feds. There is no birthday card. He didn't write that card. Trump couldn't write. He doesn't know how to doodle. He's not a diddler. But even if he is a diddler, he was diddling for good. And he was doodling for good as well. For a greater good. It's awesome. Yeah, they're going with this is a fake signature. Yeah, man, he changed his signature. At the time, this is how he used to sign things. That much is clear. In the early 90s, up until the 2000s, this was Donald Trump's signature. There are a million things that he has signed. People have actually shown that that is literally what his signature looked like back then. As a matter of fact, he signed so many public documents exactly like that, that if his signature was the current signature that he has, then it would be more of a sign that it might have been a fake document. So here we are. I've shown you this already, but it's, it bears repeating. There it is. bunch of Trump allies are claiming that the Epstein birthday letter contains a signature that doesn't match Trump's. But there are a bunch of Donald signatures from the same era that look very much like the one in the Epstein letter. The first image is from the Epstein letter. Okay? This one is to Rudy Giuliani. This is another letter to Lillian Jane Volk. This one is a letter written to the Mr. and Mrs. Larry King. Kind of feels like this was his signature at the time. You know? The auto pen was signing all of these for me. Interesting. But I don't know. I feel like this stuff is supposed to make bigger waves, but I just don't see these dipshits responding at all anymore. I don't know.